brand new episode here on 1950's Farm. So what excitement have I got for you today? Well, today we are ploughing. I know there's been quite a bit of ploughing in the in the series and episodes just recently, but it is a job on the farm that we have to do, and I like to try and keep it as real as possible. And this is what Harry would have been doing all those years ago, so as I say, I know there's been a lot, but as I just said, it's a part of farming, it's a part of his life, and part of what we need to do for our fields. So I thought we'd do a little bit of a ploughing video, and also as well, it's going to be a bit of a chatty one, because I'd like to sort of try and not only are we going to talk about sort of 1950s farm, but also as well I'd like to talk a little bit about what I'm hoping is going to be coming up on the channel. Now I've sort of mentioned it all already, in terms of sort of the hopes and the plans and different things, but one or two things are now starting to be confirmed and starting to look like that it's going to be happening. So I've been firstly, actually, before we get into all that, how are you all doing today? I hope you're all having a great day. I hope your day's going the way that you would hope that it would do, and that everyone's okay. And if you're wondering why some of it's been ploughed and there's bits ploughed everywhere, and like this headland's been sort of ploughed and then a little bit extra, it's because I've straightened the field off. It took a great deal of concentration and kind of like real and had a bit of a disaster in this corner as well. I unfortunately put the crawler in the dike. I was watching the plough to make sure that it matched up, and then when it matched up, I wanted to make sure that I didn't go beyond so that it looked untidy, and completely forgot about where my tractor was, and my tractor just sort of kind of disappeared. It's just like, whoops. But anyway, all is good, and through the powers of Farming Simulator, we're able to carry on like nothing ever happened. And of course I never told you that, of course, and in not telling you, you never know, and so therefore everything is just normal. But yeah, no, so I it's funny really, because I was going to record all of the kind of like sort of how I set fields up, how I square them off, and make sure that they're kind of straight, and make sure that that they look good, neat and proper. I was going to show you how I do that, and then a few things happened this morning. I had to go to the GP's, and a few things happened, and it just sort of never transpired. And then I'd sort of kind of got doing it, and then sort of realised, sort of halfway through doing it, oh, hang on a minute, I didn't press record. But anyway, as I say, so that's the reason why there's bits ploughed and bits not. And it may look a bit odd, is just because I've been straightening the field up, because this side of the field was, as you might remember from the last episode, was very, very, very crooked, and so it it just needed, as I say, straightening and squaring off this field, because it was a really, really awkward shape. But yeah, so we've got that done. So that's, just in case you're wondering, that's the reason why there's sort of bits ploughed and then not, and then odd shapes and different things. It's just because I've been sort of beavering away in this field, squaring and straightening it up. But yeah, so as I say, to get on with a little bit of the news and a little bit of the sort of plans for the future of the channel. So as you know, like when I set out to want I set out wanting a big, I guess if I'm to sit here and be completely honest with you all, I sat here and basically wanted to be Daggerwin and Scroft. That was, they were the two YouTubers that I was watching. I do still watch now. I don't get as much time to watch them now because obviously I'm recording and editing and different things like that. So I sort of don't get the time as what I used to get to watch them. And but I still tune in and I still look and I still and I try my hardest not to copy. Um, I need to find my own voice. I need to find my own style. I need to find things that work for me. And the thing was, when I sort of set out doing YouTube, so I sort of started off properly about a year ago as now, roughly, when I started to do it absolutely sort of every day religiously. As many people will know, came to the really hard conclusion that I needed to break up from my ex at the time, in order for me to be able to do this properly, because I just knew that I was never going to be able to achieve that whilst being in the in the relationship and in the environment that I was in. So I needed to do that. I did that, and I've been doing YouTube. And as I set out kind of in the beginning to, as I say, have my own sort of voice, my own sort of style, my own sort of way of doing it. Yeah, I admired what they were doing, and I tried to learn a little bit from what they were doing and how do they do things. Okay, in practical terms, what does that mean for in farming simulator and things like that. And and I tried to sort of do all of that. I tried to sort of study you know people that were being successful in the in the genre that I wanted to do. And that included other YouTubers, Mr. Silly P, Farm Sim Guy, all fantastic YouTubers. If you've not found them yet, go and look them up, because brilliant YouTubers, superb content. And as I say, I set out to try and sort of, in a way, um, not emulate them as in terms of their style or them as a people or whatever, but sort of kind of emulate this kind of big YouTube channel where lots of followers, lots of sort of messages, and a real sense of community, and a real sense of just people with a common interest coming together and talking about sort of farm sim and stuff like that. And that's kind of the bit that attracted me to doing YouTube. Yes, I had a lot of time on my hands, once I kind of sort of ended my relationship. I had even more time on my hands, which was even better, and what have you. And yes, last September, sort of stuff happened that meant that my time was cut down again, because obviously I took hold of my little boy. He was having problems at home, and anyway, there was loads of stuff happened, and ultimately, for one reason or another, he's back with his mum, which I can only feel sorry for him for. But anyway, and and so, as I say, in the beginning, I set out to try and, it was like kind of wanted that community, wanted that following, wanted that sort of success in terms of bringing so many people together. So the one thing that's never motivated me about YouTube and about any of it is the money side of it. Is the kind of that I could earn a living from it. It's money in life really has never really motivated me that much. Money's great, don't get me wrong, it's great to have it, but I think as long as you've got as much as you need to function and survive within your life and your lifestyle, I don't see why you would need more of it. And so that side of it never really came into it. I just wanted sort of to come up with great content, great videos, find my own voice. And then in the middle, kind of, it sort of set off, and then I had like 2 or 3 months where I was getting 50 to 100 subscribers a month, and I just thought, wow, I've cracked it already, and I lost sight of what I initially set out to achieve, and am I ashamed to admit it? No, not really. I mean, you know, I'm a human being at the end of the day, and you know, I I got distracted. I got, you know, as I say, I just lost sight of what I was hoping to achieve from doing YouTube. And I think the last sort of 2 or 3 months, last couple of months, certainly the last month, definitely since December to now, has reopened my eyes, has brought me back down to earth, because my views have just plummeted down to nothing. You know, and as I say, it's been since December. Since, you know, the turn of December just saw my views across my channel plummet. You know, I was getting at least one subscriber probably every day, or averaging one subscriber every day. Some days I get 3 or 4 or whatever. Now I'm not getting any, and it bothered me and it bugged me, and I was like, you know, I was just gonna give up. You know, at the end of the day, you know. And I just sort of kind of thought, you know what? And I sat down, I really thought about it, and I thought, you've lost sight of what you initially wanted to achieve. What you wanted to achieve in the beginning was none of that. You know, none of that came into any part of your conscious being of what you was hoping to achieve via YouTube. What you was hoping to achieve via YouTube was to bring a community together, to bring like-minded people together, to be able to have a place to talk and discuss their passions and their experiences in life. It wasn't about numbers. It wasn't about, you know, getting 6 million views in the first 3 minutes. It was, you know, none of that ever came into your, you know, into your thinking. So, you know, what was it originally that you wanted to achieve? And as I say, the community side of things was what I set out to achieve, you know, by doing things like the Britain series, because I felt like it was something that a lot of people would resonate with, you know, in the sense that you know, I knew I wasn't the only person in the world, you know, as a kid buying or having toy tractors and playing with them on the carpets, and, you know, pretending that you're, you know, this big farm. I knew I wasn't the only person that was doing that, you know. and and so the, you know, the point of, you know, of the Britain series was so that people could go, gee, yeah, I remember that, you know, that was great, and start discussions. And you know, the discussion side of things sadly didn't really take off, and people watched the series and it was okay, you know. And then, you know, sort of about a year ago now, I was you know, sort of learning quite hard about Harry, and about the farm, about 1950s, about, you know, American government and policies, and sort of then the UK, and then Europe, and then, you know, kind of, was it similar? Is it different? What's different if it is different? You know, what's similar if it's similar? Do you know what I mean? And really learning and doing the things that I'm really sort of kind of passionate about. Like I've said, you know, many times before, you know, I really enjoy writing. You know, I'm not a paid writer in any way, shape, or form. All the writing that I do is for myself. I love learning. I love learning, you know, sort of human nature. I love learning about history and where we come from, where we're going, you know, and all of that, you know. And once I'd kind of, in my mind, got it set back to what it was originally that I wanted to achieve, I then, which has only been the last, well, since after Christmas really, when I've really started to kind of think about it, and really sort of came to that crossroads where you need to make your mind up one way or the other. And I've made my mind up, and, you know, YouTube is full steam ahead. You know, absolutely committed. You know, no longer going to be dictated to by numbers, by views, by subscribers. They'll come if they come, and if they don't, they don't, you know, and that's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do originally what I set out to do, um, and I'm also going to do other things that I'm interested in doing, that I was thinking about doing a YouTube channel for many years ago. You know, when I first came up with this, you know, sort of idea, long before I kind of considered doing farming sim videos. Excuse me. I had sort of other ideas for YouTube channels, and I just thought, well, why not combine the two? Because you're the same person, you have the same passion, you have the same, whatever, and actually, a lot of the things that you're going to do or that you want to do are quite relevant to what you're doing now. So why not just do it all on the one channel? And as I say, I've been sort of, and I have mentioned it. I have kind of mentioned it because I was kind of seeing if anyone would comment. Was kind of seeing if anyone would sort of go, yeah, actually, I'd really like to see that. Yeah, actually, that's a really great idea. No one has, and that's fine. Because you don't get them things overnight. And that's okay with me. I kind of, if you like, put the feelers out, nothing came back, that's fine. So it means I've got to sort of kind of do it on my own kind of initiative, if you like. And a lot of the 1950s. I mean, if you think, sort of quite carefully about, not so much in but in real life, it would have been dominated by the war, even though the war was now over. Not long over. Sort of 1950. So you're looking at sort of 4.5, sort of 5 years of it being over, and the world sort of coming to terms with it, and having to then kind of rebuild from that. Not in a sort of architectural way of rebuilding, but humans had to rebuild. You know, many people had been through, many, uh, you know, atrocious kind of experiences and situations. The men and women on the front line, and parents at home, just sitting there every day dreading that the telegram would come. Um, and so it doesn't matter what capacity you were involved in with the war. It was affecting obviously everyone, but it was affecting everyone on a different emotional level. And someone that's into psychology, that's into sort of human beings, into emotions and reactions, and why people do the things they do, and what's the kind of thinking behind that, what's the thought process behind that, and all of that kind of stuff. And I sort of thought, well, where I live, I'm really lucky. I've got some really terrific things, around me, where we can go and experience, what living conditions were like in the war, where we can go and see different things. And so I kind of sort of set about starting to want to do days out, where obviously I record the days out, and then put the videos up onto YouTube. And whether that would be to do with the war, whether that would be to do with aviation, because I'm very much really into my aeroplanes and stuff like that. Whether it to be with tractors. Until 1950s, until doing this series, I wasn't really interested in the older classic tractors. I was only really interested in modern day. It's new, it's fresh. It's the future. Let's look into the future. The past, we've learnt all we're going to learn from the past. Now we need to take what we've learnt and move on. And so I wasn't never really that kind of interested in it. But then I started doing 1950s. I started talking to one YouTuber in particular that is very knowledgeable about sort of the more classic way of farming, and has really sparked an interest in me, and a an interest where I want to learn more about it. I want to know more about it. And so there's a few things that a couple of places this year that I'm hopefully going to go to, that are going to be interesting. So we're going to the David Brown Museum later on in the year. We're going there, and we're going to get the history of David Brown, tractors, and sort of and stuff like that. And go to not only do they have the museum there and the history, they also have showrooms there where they've got sort of all of the models that they did and what have you, and it looks a fantastically very interesting day out, and I'm very much looking forward to going there. I must admit, David Brown, I do have a soft spot for anyway, because that's where I started my farming career. I've told the story probably many times, because it's a it's a very fond story and memory to me of my mum being at work and me being able to sit on the tractors while mum was working, and then one day, David, coming along and saying, do you want to drive the tractor while I chuck the boxes out? And that will, as an 8-year-old kid, that will live long in the memory for, forever and a day. Do you know what I mean? Like that feeling as an 8-year-old, driving the tractor on your own. You're in the cab by yourself and you're driving it by yourself, and you feel like you're working and you feel like you're part of the team and everything. Honestly, like as an 8-year-old kid, I can't begin to tell you the absolute joy and pleasure that I got from that, and the memory still lives very fond and fresh in my mind, and so, as I say, I have a real soft spot for David Brown, because that was the 885. David Brown was the first David Brown tractor I ever drove, and it was the Mark One as well. It was the original 885, which had quite a bit longer nose than the second version. So yeah, there's sort of subtle differences, and it's those sort of kind of, when I go, I've got questions that obviously I want to ask, and things go round, so I want to do that. I'm really hoping that a visit to a dairy farm is going to happen. So this is a working holiday. Now I have to obviously be very careful, because obviously I've got, my condition, and physically I'm not that fit or strong or whatever. And this, I have explained to the people, and I have sort of kind of said, I'm coming more as a kind of YouTuber, kind of record it, kind of, almost in a way trying to help you, sort of advertise and sell your business, and for me to kind of show everyone what's involved and stuff like that. And then, they're aware of it, and we're close to kind of, I think, making it happen. I'm hoping to go in April to the Duxford Air Museum. So I'm hoping to do that. I'm hoping that maybe that will be over 2 days, because I didn't quite appreciate until the other day how big that place is. I went there as a kid and it wasn't that big. It's grown exponentially in the last 30 years since I was there as a kid, and it's huge now. And so that, there's a lot about 1950s airplanes, about, aviation in the 20s right the way through the 50s. The first sort of real passenger jets, the first jet engine was developed in the 1950s, on the old Comet aeroplane, which was a passenger airplane, which was probably twice as big as the airplanes today, but only held 20 people. It was like, it was kind of crazy. But back then, everyday people couldn't afford to travel on aeroplanes. The aeroplanes were for the elite. So every airplane only had a first class section. And then you've kind of, as I say, we've got all the history of there coming up. We've then got Muckleborough. So again, this is to do with the war. But Muckleborough, I'm fairly close to getting to the fact that we can go around the museum, we can film the museum, we'll get a tour, and so we'll hear all about the history of what sort of Norfolk and different things was doing in the wartime. But at the end of the day, at the end of that particular day, we're going to get to actually experience and ride in some of the machinery. Now, one of them's a Sherman tank, which I can't wait. I cannot wait to have a ride in a Sherman tank. That will be absolutely awesome. I'm hoping that there is going to be an opportunity to fly in a Spitfire. Now, that's not been confirmed. Apparently that's weather dependent, that's air pressure dependent, that's a lot dependent. The tank thing, they've gone, you kind of want to hope it's raining, and muddy and slushy, so that you get the full experience, you know. So that's kind of okay. But yeah, so we're going to be doing that. As I say, there's going to be lots of. So I've also got for next winter and through the summer as well. But we've got the Royal Norfolk that we will go to. We've got 2 big farm visits that I'm going to do. So I'm going to do 2. I've been talking with a couple of friends in the farming industry and sort of kind of said, could I come up, have a tour of the farm, do it from a YouTube, you know, sort of viewers and what have you. And they, you know, they've said yes. One of them is in for June the 25th. So I'm going up there on June the 25th, which is about roughly a month before they start harvest. So we're going up there, and we're going to get a farm tour. We're going to get to sort of, you know, talk and you know, see what goes on in their sort of daily lives on the farm and what have you. And that's going to, I can't wait for that. So yeah, you know, we've got lots and lots of really interesting things that are coming up. The one thing I kind of wanted to get from this video is there anything that you guys might think, well, actually it'd be really interesting to see that, or to know about that, or, you know, to go there, or, you know, whatever. So you know, and I've also kind of sort of considered as well, so it's kind of like travel vlogs, if you like. You know, it will start in the day, me leaving the house, and, you know, probably in the car, and we'll be sort of having a little chat about the day. You know, we'll do like days out to London. So we'll go to I forget the name of it now, but I've been looking into doing the Tower of London. I've been looking into doing the old prisons in London that supposedly are haunted. So doing stuff like that. Now, I don't believe in ghosts, so I'm not going to go there with any fear or anything like that. You know, when they said, you know, it is haunted and you do have a heart condition, and I was like, it's irrelevant. I don't believe in ghosts. You know, I said there is absolutely no evidence of, you know, of ghosts. Every piece of evidence that we've got, we can logically explain. You know, and this coming from someone that avidly sits down most days and watches Most Haunted on TV, because I just find it so funny. I remember, you know, Derek Cora, God love him. You know, sadly not with us no more, and he's prominently on that program. It's an old program. It's, you know, it's 20 some odd years old, this program, with Yvette Fielding and stuff like that. And you know, and they go into this house, and, you know, or this factory, or wherever, you know, wherever they're actually basing it for that day, or, you know, whatever. And I always remember this. There was in a house, a mansion house, a bit, you know, a country estate, sort of stately home, and they're, you know, they're going around, and, you know, there's all these bangs and taps and noises and different things, and they're like, you know, ooh, you know, and they go down these stairs, and he goes, oh, I can't give you the atmosphere here, he said, but it's cold and dark. And I was thinking, yeah, I know, Derek, you're in the basement. It's like, that's the reason why it's cold and dark in there. There's no presence down there. It's just cold and dark because it's the bleeding basement. Like, there's a real dampy, musty feel to the air, you know. And I'm thinking, yes, you're in the basement. It's like, what do you expect to find down there in the basement? And then, you know, then there's like kind of like, you know, radiators, you know, in the floor above, you know, and tanging and tingling and donging and everything else, and you're thinking, so you've just got someone up there banging on the radiator, like, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's a fantastic thing. So I'm going there with kind of no real, you know, sort of fear, if you like. You know, and one of the officers is kind of, or one of the, not officers because it's not a prison no more, but one of the people that work in the actual prison have said, so would you be prepared to spend 2 hours locked in a cell then? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah, absolutely, yeah, you can lock me in the cell for 2 hours, no problem. And it was like, you'll be on your own, and I'll be like, yeah, that's all right, you know, everything will be explainable. You know, I said the sheer fact that you've mentioned it if I was that way inclined to believe, means I would not be able to survive 2 hours in that thing, in that room or in that cell. I said, because you've now put that into my head, and so therefore my head will run with that, and I'll start to create scenarios and noises and bangs and knocks that fit the narrative of what you've been telling me. I said, the fact that I'm not that worried by it means you can't put that into my head, and if you can't put that into my head, that means I can rationalize every single thing that happens. You know, but so it's going to be interesting. So hopefully that'll be that, but that's later in the year again. That's a little bit later in the year. So we've got the Lincolnshire Life Museum. I've been talking to those people now for a few weeks now, in kind of trying to set up, being able to go there, and again being able to film, because a lot of the places are okay with it, some of them are not. um, and so we obviously when I go I have to be respectful, but many years ago, as I say, the original idea for a YouTube channel was sort of ride with Jim, and it was literally a case of we'd just go out to different places for the day. We'd start off in the car and I'd be talking about the day ahead, and then where we're going, what we're going to see, what I hope we're going to see, this, that, and do you know what I mean? Like really sort of, and then you get like kind of when we turn up and we're about to go in, and all of that, and then do the day, and then sort of on the drive home, sort of do the conclusion, and sort of, this is what we've learned today, this is what I've taken from the day, what bits have interested you, and different things, and again it was about building that community. I've said many times before, I don't have many friends, not because I'm not very nice or because I'm not likable. It's just I choose, really, it's not that I choose not to have friends, but I don't know. It's just something that's never really happened. I mean, I've got people that I talk to, and I guess they would say that we're friends or whatever. But I just don't have anyone that if I had a problem, I could just ring up and sort of talk to or whatever. I don't have a friend like that. And as I say, a lot of the people that I am some of the lads that I meet, within the village and the towns where I live, they're all married, they've all got their families, and so they're getting on with sort of their lives, and one thing I was kind of hoping about the community was that I would get that sense of sort of what can I say, that togetherness where, as I said, like-minded people can talk about you know like-minded stuff that they're into and they like and they're interested in and stuff like that. So that's kind of the thing, what the hope was, behind it. And as I say, going from, this last month has been really good for me, and really kind of refocused a lot about sort of me, the channel, um, as I say, me as a person. Because I've sort of always been afraid to go out. I've always been a little bit agoraphobic, and sort of kind of all of these wonderful places I'd love to have gone to, but I could never get there. Hence the reason, I think, again, why I didn't have friends, was because when they were going out for the days and when they were going out clubbing and drinking, I was staying at home. I enjoyed talking to these people, and eventually, we just drifted apart, and it's natural. That's what happens. Um, and so, as I say, the opportunity to get people talking, not necessarily to me, but just people in the comments talking to each other and saying, yeah, I remember that, or oh, by the way, Mr. Jimmy, or James, or whatever you want to call me, call me what you like, just don't call me late for my tea. But whatever, have you thought about doing this, have you thought about going there? I'd be really interested in that. There's a couple of ghost tours in Edinburgh, that happen, obviously, sort of through the night, um, so I'd be interested in doing that. And interestingly enough, actually, there's a in Edinburgh, there's a haunted mansion there, and it states no one dare stay here at night. That everyone always leaves early. And I thought, well, I'll do that. So I emailed the person, and they emailed back and said, do you believe in ghosts? No, we don't think you'd be suitable. And just like, or not, do you believe in ghosts, but do you believe in the supernatural? And I sort of then sent back, no, I don't. I think it can be explained, sort of that kind of stuff. And then it was kind of like, I don't think you'll be suitable, which kind of, in a way, sort of emphasised and proved the point. It was, but anyway, as I say, so I'd like to do all of that, and I'd like to do it, as I say, with the channel. And the farming sim videos will continue. 1950s will continue. Other series will continue. They will eventually come to an end, but then there'll be a different series that will replace it. There will be if new maps come out or whatever, we'll be doing this, that, and everything. So the farming simulator side of things is not changing, is not going anywhere. There is nothing about that is going to change. All we're going to do is add some more videos to the channel, but they will be different kind of videos. They'll just be sort of me and days out, and days out in London, and which perhaps most people in the UK that watch my videos have been to London, or they've been done these things and what have you, but some won't have done. There's a lot of things in London. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've spent the best part of half of my life in London with never living there. I've spent the best part, as I say, of half of my life there. When I was born, I was very quickly sent to Great Ormond Street, because of my heart condition and what have you. And so I spent the first sort of, maybe 5 years of my life pretty much in London in hospital. Then, ever since then, I've up until I became an adult, I was still under Great Ormond Street, obviously. Then once I became an adult, I then moved on to the Middlesex Hospital in London, and then the Heart Hospital, and then after the Heart Hospital, I was then moved to St Bart's, where I've been, and I'm told I will be for the remainder of my life. I've never been to Buckingham Palace. I've never seen Big Ben. I've never seen the Houses of Parliament. Do you know what I mean? So there's lots of stuff in London that I could do that I've never seen and done. And there'll be other people in this country that have never done those things. And there'll be people that live, as I say, I get watched quite a bit in the States. From a few people living, as I say, overseas. And according to my demographics on my stats page, quite a lot of people from India watch my YouTube channels. So that's great, and they will have never seen sort of stuff like that. So it's kind of why I'm doing it. It's kind of, interests me, but I think overall it will be interesting to watch. It's the sort of thing that I would watch. It's the sort of thing that I would be very much interested in, and so as I say, I'm looking to do that this year. Let me know in the comments. Is that something that you're sort of excited for? Is it something bothered about? Tell me what you think. Tell me just in general what you think of the channel. What could I do better? What could I do different? What do I do that annoys you, that maybe sort of kind of stop you watching? At the end of the day, I want to be my own person. I want to be my own voice. I want to be my own style. And as I said, once I realised that actually I should just ignore the numbers, and actually, am I having fun? Well, no, I'm not. Why are you not having fun? Well, because I keep looking at the numbers and it keeps getting me down. And and it was kind of, well, stop looking at the numbers then. Take away the numbers. Are you having fun? Absolutely. I love 1950s farm. I've said it over and over. I'd as much as I don't like FS25, I do enjoy doing the Walter series. I do enjoy doing the Market Garden series. That is a series that I do really enjoy as well. So all of those things, and I really enjoyed last year doing the Farm Manager. Probably going to go back to that series now that I've got the time back again. And as I say, things have worked out how I kind of wouldn't want them to work out, but they've worked out the way they have, and because they've worked out in that particular way, I've now got time to do those videos again, and to sit and edit them and in the way that it needs to be done. I would like to think that this time, this year at some point, I'll be able to do a heavily story-based kind of series. So there's lots of things in terms of Farming Simulator that I still want to do, but I really want to do the other stuff too. And as you know, a little while ago, I kind of set up. Well, I didn't set up another channel really. It was my my little boy's channel, and as I say, I'm not gonna for the very sort of foreseeable future. I'm not going to be able to see him now because of the way things have worked out and that sort of stuff. And so I could then sort of kind of thought, well, that's his channel, and so I sort of thought, well, I'll just do general games. I'll do the games that he liked, and I'll sort of do it on his behalf. And but I was just doing, as I say, just general games really. But yeah, I didn't. That hasn't sort of kept going because I just don't have the time to run two separate YouTube channels. As much as I thought I did have the time, I don't not really. These do take a few hours to make each episode, and well, a day, I would say, averaging in terms of editing and making sure it's right, and then watching it, re-watching it, making sure I've not said anything in it that is going to offend anyone or anything like that. And making sure that I haven't sort of swore in it, because inadvertently sometimes the odd blasphemous word does escape from my mouth, believe it or not, and so it's making then sort of have to go back, redo the video, or redo that part, or or edit it differently or whatever, so it does take time to do these videos, and I just didn't have enough time to do both. So I sort of thought, well, I would like to do my days out and my sort of traveling side of things. I would like to do that, and I thought, well, I could do that in conjunction with my farming sim videos, because a lot of what I do in farming, are 1950s. So that is war. That is, how were we living in 1950s? What were the conditions like? What was entertainment like? What was people's lives in general like? And all, and it's relevant. And I think if I'm as I was going to word that wrong. I was going to say, if I'm as good as what I think I am. That's not what I mean. If I'm able to get those videos right, I think they'll be very interesting videos to sit and watch and to learn from and what have you, because I do think that the only way really as a kid I ever learned was doing something that I was interested in doing and learning in the background. Now, for me, that meant at school, I didn't get a lot of what was going on at school. Like, school was not my time. Um, I didn't understand a huge amount what was going on in class. Maths is just, I now know why maths is non-existent to me. And that's fine. But yeah, I just genuinely didn't understand. I was a bit slow. I was a bit behind. Say I had the stroke when I was 4, and that basically reset my brain to zero, as the sort of doctors explained it to me since I've been an adult. And he said basically your brain was reset to zero, and so your body was 5 years ahead of your head. And that's some days how I feel. I feel like my body is a long way ahead of my head, in terms of sort of thinking and practical thinking and problem solving. So as I say, so what did I do in class? So I wasn't a pain in the butt. What I did was I wrote. I sat with my textbooks and I wrote stories. That was what I knew to do. And anything I was interested in, like history, when we were doing the war, when we were doing the Tudor times, when we were doing, I was listening because I was interested. If I'm not interested, I can assure you I won't sit and do something. Because I just couldn't. I don't have the patience within me to sit and do something that I'm not interested in. If I wasn't fully behind this series, I couldn't sit and plough the fields that I sit and plough. The size of fields that I sit and plough, I just wouldn't be able to do it. But I love it. I absolutely love it with, a passion. So yeah. But so yeah, that was, that's kind of what I really wanted to say in this video, and I felt this was the best video to do it in because I was sort of just ploughing and sort of trying to get the ground prepared, ready for when we start seeding it, and I genuinely think, as I say, this was the best sort of time to do it because, as you can see, we've virtually ploughed this whole field, and we've had a good chat. I realise at this point in time it's a very one-way chat, but hopefully maybe there'll be some comments and different things, about what people think about the ideas that I've got, things they might want to see. Someone might come to me, for example, and say, I'm really interested in, the Viking period. I'd love to, to find out stuff about that. That's fantastic. We can do that. That's no problem. That would be a trip to York. Someone else might say, well, I'm really into my trains. That's fantastic. While we're in York, we can stay overnight, and the next day we can do the National Rail Museums and stuff like that, because all that's in York. So, that's that off the top of my head. That's the two things. Some people might say, oh, Christmas time, go around some of the markets, the Christmas markets, and sort of experience them and give the history of them and where they come from and why they originated and where they originated. Anything like that. I would like to think that at some point, whether it will be this year or not, I don't know. If you're asking me to be completely honest about it, I would say it's unlikely. But I would like to get to the States. I would like to get to Australia. I would like to get to Germany, because yes, the war things that I can show you from our side of the story. But I think it would be quite interesting to learn the other side of the story too. I think when coming to conclusions and when sort of listening to a certain side of a story, you need to hear the other side too, to be able to form a balanced sort of opinion. And that doesn't mean that I'm sitting here kind of trying to lightly excuse what was going on. No, I'm just interested in what was their thinking, what was going on in their country. Were there people, sort of, I don't know, it's just interesting to me. On a human level, it is interesting to me. So I'd like to get to Germany, and I'd like to see some of the cathedrals there, because they look absolutely magnificent. I would like to, as I say, go to the States. I'd like to go to Seattle, and the aviation museum there, that's also got the Apollo exhibitions in it as well. So I'd like to go there. I'm really interested in space. I'm really interested in sort of all of that kind of stuff. So I'd want to learn that. So yeah, it's just a case of just keep going around and learning and just experiencing and bringing that to my videos and bringing that to to you guys. And yeah, so just let me know sort of what you think and how we can sort of move the channel forward, and make interesting content. That's kind of all I'm interested in. Is, yes, I want to make interesting content, and I just want to have a good time, and I just want to enjoy myself, and I just want you guys to kind of enjoy yourselves too. So yeah, anyway, that's his field done. That's our little chat. I think I've said everything that I needed to say in the allotted in the allotted time. As I've just got the headlands to do now, so I'll crack on and do the headlands off camera. And yeah, next episode we will be busy drilling, and that will be back to normal. We'll be doing time lapse and different stuff in there. So thanks ever so much for watching. Thanks ever so much for listening. If you got this far, really appreciate it. If you didn't, well, you won't know that I'm saying this, but if you didn't get this far, there no, I was going to do a joke. And I'm not, because it's a bit rude. But if you didn't get this far, still thanks for tuning in and clicking on the thumbnail and what have you. I can't believe I was going to do that on camera. My two ladies would definitely have got me to take that out. Um, it's a very funny joke, and one day I'll probably tell you. But when I'm not frightened of getting, sort of reprimanded by the police and everyone else. So yeah, this country is in a dodgy old state at the moment, with people saying stuff online and then being arrested and then put in prison. Yeah, I think I'll self-monitor myself there and not say it. But yeah, thanks ever so much for watching and listening to me. And like I said, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know whether you would be interested in, sort of, if there's things that you're interested in that you want me to go and see. Just again, for, sort of very quickly as an example, you may be interested in maritime, which is fine. We can go to Portsmouth, we can go to Southampton. The two very big maritime history museums there to do with, the Mary Rose, and stuff like that, which obviously was Henry VIII's flagship ship. And yeah, we'll be able to do all of that stuff. So as I say, thanks ever so much for listening and for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much. Bye for now.